It's not uncommon for MPs to encounter demonstrators as they walk into Parliament, but this was a bit different. There was a tense atmosphere as two extremely polarised groups of activists faced each other in a tense standoff across Main Street. The Chief Minister acknowledged both groups as he arrived, with the slightly smaller but more vocal pro-choice gathering making their feelings known. In the chamber, activists lined the seats. It was an unusually well-populated public gallery, which began to thin out as the hours ticked by, and it became increasingly obvious that the abortion bill was not going to be taken anytime soon. In fact, it wasn't until the afternoon that the bill was presented by Health and Justice Minister Neil Costa.
The law on abortion in Gibraltar today mirrors the law applicable in Northern Ireland. It is that law which the Supreme Court in the United Kingdom considered was incompatible with Article 8 of the European Convention. There have always been very difficult decisions to make as a servant of the community, and in discharging our public duties, we have to deal with the facts before us. This, Mr. Speaker, is certainly for me the most difficult matter I have dealt with yet.
The minister said the government does not support on-demand abortions and would not allow an abortion industry by allowing private clinics to carry out their own procedures. Mr. Costa said by providing counselling, there was a chance that a woman could change her mind about a termination, and by retaining a degree of control, the GHA can ensure women are safe and receive the right aftercare.
Talking to a counsellor is no guarantee that a woman will not have the termination, but at least by providing counselling services, there is a chance that the woman will consider her position afresh. If the woman does decide to proceed with the termination after having seen two GHA doctors who confirm that the criteria set out in the bill are satisfied, then a service, in our view, needs to be provided, as otherwise we lose total control as to how we care next for the woman.
In ending his speech, Mr. Costa suggested that events could be taken over if a woman were to bring a challenge before the Supreme Court. But the opposition leader, Elliot Phillips, said government was misleading the community because the bill was based on a false premise, that it is constitutionally necessary. He said the government was seeking the sanction of this bill with a referendum, and people deserved the right to voice their views on the matter without being constrained by the bill. He said the bill goes much further than the Northern Ireland case and allows abortion on demand, something he felt no party had a mandate to do.
It is our view that there has been no serious attempt at drafting a law to cater for clear, narrow, and limited exceptions. In addition, there is nothing in our constitutional law that requires Gibraltar to introduce a law modelled on the English law of abortion. Her Majesty's opposition will not go along with this misrepresentation and misleading of our community on this fundamental issue.
He accused the government of political dishonesty and incompetence and called for a free referendum on whether the public supports abortion or not. Mr. Phillips said the GSD would be voting against the bill. Together, Gibraltar leader Marlene Hassan Nahon said politicians have been flip-flopping on this issue to try and appeal to different areas of the electorate. She said this was dishonest and not what they had a mandate for. Ms. Hassan Nahon said she could never have an abortion herself, but she had always had a strong support network and the means to support her children, and therefore would never be able to impose that choice on another woman. She said banning abortions doesn't stop abortions, it simply drives them underground. And she condemned a culture that blames women for unwanted pregnancies while men lie on the sidelines.
The anti-choice lobby would also do well to campaign to close the wage gap, where in Gibraltar women earn a staggering 22.5% less than men, the highest gender pay gap within the EU, I must add, before condemning women to a pregnancy they are not ready to carry to term. They should also campaign, as I do regularly, for mental health services to be boosted, for a cohesive and robust drug strategy to come into place, and for women enduring domestic violence issues to be taken into a safe space where they will not fall pregnant under duress and as a means of controlling them.
She said she would be voting in favour of the bill, but against the commencement clause, which dealt with the referendum.
Anti-choice lobby.
The debate raged on across the floor of the House, with the Deputy Chief Minister, Joseph Garcia, supporting taking the decision to the people, and the GSD's Daniel Feetham providing his legal analysis of the impact on the Northern Ireland case on Gibraltar. The Chief Minister took to his feet towards the latter part of the afternoon. He said he would never judge a person who has had an abortion and would similarly not judge anyone who held strong views against it. Mr. Picardo said the bill would become law at the end of this debate, and it would be the commencement of the act that would be put to the people in a referendum next March. He said the government hadn't believed in a referendum when this debate began and didn't believe that political parties had a mandate to legislate.
Mr. Speaker, certainly it is a divisive issue, and therefore, in the absence of a mandate, I did not think that it was appropriate for political parties to take a position. All of that changed. All of that changed when the decision in the Supreme Court in the United Kingdom came in, because we interpret that case as a clear imperative that we must act. A clear imperative that we must act.
He said things moved even further this week when the House of Commons voted in favour of the UK imposing direct rule over Northern Ireland on this issue, something which could happen to Gibraltar because its laws are identical. He said the Interministerial Committee had tried to shield Gibraltar from the imposition of UK legislation, which was far more wide-ranging and set the abortion threshold at 24 weeks instead of 12. But he said it was the government's job to ensure there were no winners and no losers in this debate. And the only way to do that was to have a referendum.